The pen clicked against the document with finality. My signature, the same one I'd used on billion-dollar defense contracts, now sealed the end of my marriage. Around me, 30 strangers with phones raised captured my humiliation in high definition, their eager faces illuminated by the soft glow of the birthday candles nobody would blow out. "Aren't you going to say anything, Daniel?" Jessica's voice carried across our living room, a room I'd paid for with 15 years of classified work. Her Instagram followers would expect a meltdown, a scene, something worthy of their collective gasps and sympathetic comments. I capped my Mont Blanc, a gift from a general after I'd secured his base against an impossible deadline, and slid it back into my jacket pocket. "Congratulations on your future," I said, my voice steadier than my heartbeat. Richard, my soon-to-be ex-father-in-law, stood beside Jessica, his smile stretching across weathered cheeks. "And here's your replacement." He gestured toward Kyle, my wife's personal trainer. The same Kyle whose certification exams I'd paid for last winter when he complained about money troubles. Across the room, 16-year-old Emma, my stepdaughter in name, my daughter in heart, pressed herself against the wall, arms crossed protectively over her chest. Our eyes met briefly before she looked away, shame coloring her cheeks. Beside her, Owen, 19 and sullen, filmed everything, his phone steady despite the tremor I noticed in his shoulders. "50 looks good on you, Foster," someone called from the crowd, followed by nervous laughter. I folded the divorce papers, slipped them into an inner pocket, next to classified notes I'd forgotten to leave at the office. My security clearance would be in jeopardy if anyone knew I brought them home. But then, based on what I'd glimpsed inside our hidden safe yesterday, someone in this house already had access to documents they shouldn't. "Thank you all for coming," I said, scanning the crowd of Jessica's followers, these strangers she called friends. "The party continues without me." I moved toward the back door rather than the front, a tactical choice, minimizing exposure, reducing the dramatic footage Jessica clearly hoped to capture. Through the kitchen window, I caught her expression shifting from triumphant to confused. She'd expected tears, rage, perhaps begging. Security specialists like me weren't supposed to handle emotional ambushes with such composure. The night air hit my face as I stepped onto our back patio. 2 hours north, my Army buddy's hunting cabin waited with emergency supplies and a flash drive I prepared 18 months ago when I first discovered Jessica's betrayal. My fingers brushed against my phone, still connected to our home network, still tracking every device inside. I hadn't survived 3 war zones by being unprepared. Jessica wanted a show. She'd get one, just not the one she expected. The Mercedes started silently. I pulled away from the curb, leaving behind the golden windows of my former home, filled with strangers documenting the birthday party that became a funeral for my marriage. But unlike the marriage, I wasn't dead yet. The hunting cabin materialized out of darkness, a shadow against shadows. 2 hours of driving had cleared my head, each mile putting distance between me and the orchestrated humiliation Jessica called a birthday celebration. The gravel crunched under my boots as I approached the door, punching in the security code my Army buddy never changed. Inside smelled of pine and gunmetal, familiar comforts from a life Jessica never understood. I swept the cabin for electronic devices, old habits from my military days, before retrieving the loose floorboard beneath the moth-eaten rug. The flash drive waited where I'd hidden it 18 months ago, the day after discovering messages between Jessica and Kyle on her unlocked tablet. My burner phone connected to a secure VPN. 3 calls would set everything in motion. First, the bank. "This is Daniel Foster. Authorization code Sierra 9042 Alpha." My voice echoed in the empty cabin. "Activate protocol Frost on all shared accounts." The banking associate confirmed without question. Protocol Frost, a security measure I'd established for high-net-worth defense contractors. Accounts remained visible but required dual authentication for withdrawals. Jessica would see our money but couldn't touch a penny. Second call, Tom Brennan, former military lawyer who specialized in asset protection and federal regulations. A man who understood contingency planning better than most generals. "Stage 2 is active," I said when he answered. No pleasantries needed between old foxhole buddies. Roger that. His voice carried the same steady tone we'd used during mortar attacks in Baghdad. Asset secured to the LLC? Affirmative. She signed everything. Never read a document in her life. Tom chuckled, a sound devoid of humor. Paperwork's already filed. Court appearance scheduled for Thursday morning. The judge owes me a favor. We'll get the preliminary hearing without her knowledge. My third call required more finesse. Emma answered on the second ring, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel, are you alone? A pause. Mom's busy posting about how devastated she is. Owen went out with friends to celebrate getting rid of you. The knife twisted deeper, but my voice remained level. I saw your face tonight. You tried to warn me. Her breath caught. I couldn't say anything, not with Grandpa watching. Richard, his name tasted bitter on my tongue. How long has he been accessing my files? Emma's silence answered everything. The locked safe I glimpsed through the doorway, its contents visible for a split second. Classified information on military infrastructure. Mom's talking about selling your stuff. Says everything in the house belongs to her now. My lips curled upward. Let her try. After disconnecting, I powered down the burner phone and removed its battery. My original phone, still connected to our home network, registered movement throughout the house. Jessica hosting an impromptu divorce party, no doubt. Tomorrow she'd wake to find our accounts frozen, my digital presence erased. The cabin's ancient heater clanked to life. I spread the contents of my go bag across the table. Passport, cash, credentials for 3 different consulting firms, and documentation proving Fawcett Defense Consulting LLC owned everything: the house, cars, investment accounts. Jessica's signature graced every transfer document. Her attention focused on Instagram followers while I restructured our entire financial existence. Outside, an owl called into darkness. I poured 3 fingers of bourbon into a dusty glass and raised it toward the window. Happy birthday to me. Morning arrived with frost coating the cabin windows. I checked my second burner phone. 3 missed calls from Tom, a text message reading, "She's discovered the accounts." Legal hurricane incoming. I smiled against the rim of my coffee mug. The storm had barely begun, but I had been building shelters long before Jessica decided to make our marriage collateral damage for social media fame. Now she'd learned why the military had trusted me to design security systems for their most valuable assets. My protection protocols never failed. Tom's office smelled of leather and confidence. 3 days after my birthday ambush, he spread documents across his mahogany desk with the precision of a car dealer. His smile grew wider with each page. Foster Defense Consulting LLC, he said, tapping the housing deed. Sole owner, Daniel Foster. Your wife has 0 legal claim. Ex-wife, I corrected, examining the paperwork. 18 months of meticulous planning crystallized into these official documents. What about the business loan? Tom slid across a video screenshot. Jessica signing papers at First National Bank, my voice clearly explaining terms in the background. $40,000 for her content creation studio, recorded with her knowledge by bank security. She acknowledged understanding all conditions, including the collateral requirements. My shoulders relaxed for the first time in 72 hours. And Richard's credit cards? Linked through your consulting network. His spending spree at Bergdorf Goodman? Flagged as corporate fraud. Tom's expression hardened. His credit score dropped 200 points overnight. The bourbon burned pleasantly as I swallowed. What about his extracurricular activities? Tom lowered his voice despite the soundproof walls. Military intelligence flagged 5 separate instances where classified information changed hands after Richard attended your work functions. The investigation remains preliminary, but they're connecting dots between his financial windfalls and contract details leaked to competitor firms. A knock interrupted us. Tom's assistant entered with a sealed envelope. Message from your stepson, Mr. Foster. The letter inside contained no pleasantries. Asterisk the wedding venue wants their money back. Mom says you're responsible. $38,000 due immediately, or Shannon's parents cancel everything. Asterisk. I passed a note to Tom, who scanned it and smirked. The check was written from Foster Defense Consulting as a corporate gift. If your stepson does return those funds within 90 days, the IRS classifies as income, $11,000 in taxes due. On his part-time barista salary, I murmured. My phone vibrated. Emma, using our private signal. 3 short calls, 5 minutes apart. I excused myself to the hallway. Daniel? Mom tried selling your stuff at a garage sale. Her voice trembled with suppressed laughter. The police came with paperwork proving everything belongs to your company. Through the connection, Jessica's shrieks echoed in the background. $18,000 in designer shoes, all company property now. Mom's freaking out. Are you safe? I asked. Kyle disappeared when electricity got shut off. Turns out he's horrible with actual crises. Emma's voice dropped. Owen blames you for everything. Says you couldn't handle Mom's success. Success built on my security clearance and connections. Success funded by my decades of dangerous work. Success she planned to monetize by humiliating me publicly. Grandpa looks sick, Emma continued. He keeps making calls, but nobody answers anymore. Richard, whose golfing buddies included 3 Pentagon officials with access to classified bidding information. Richard, who mysteriously knew which companies would win defense contract before announcements went public. Stay away from him, I warned. He's dangerous. After hanging up, I returned to Tom's office where a new visitor waited. Colonel Sarah Hicks from Defense Logistics Agency, my former military contact. Daniel. She greeted me with a firm handshake. Meridian Strategic Solutions needs a new operations director, someone with your specific expertise. Her emphasis on specific confirmed my suspicions. Military intelligence monitored Richard's activities longer than I realized. When can you start? She asked. Immediately. The word tasted like freedom. Outside Tom's office building, spring sunshine warmed my face. My phone showed 17 missed calls from Jessica, 5 from Owen, 3 from Richard. None warranted a response. A text from Tom arrived. Garage sale footage going viral. Your ex attempting damage control on Instagram. Failing spectacularly. The best revenge wasn't served cold after all. It was served systematically, with documentation and timestamps. Meridian's headquarters rose like a glass fortress against the Washington skyline. 6 weeks into my new position as operations director, and already my security badge granted access to areas where decisions shaping national defense were made daily. My office overlooked the Pentagon, close enough to remind me of connections, far enough to establish separation from my past. Mr. Foster. My assistant appeared at the doorway. Colonel Hicks requests your presence in the secure conference room. Sarah waited alone, manila folders stamped with various classification levels spread before her. Her expression revealed nothing, a skill we both mastered through decades of military service. Someone accessed your personnel files last night, she said without preamble, using stolen credentials from Defense Logistics. My coffee cup paused midway my lips. Internal or external breach? The trace led to an IP address registered to Richard Calloway, my ex-father-in-law, the man who handed me divorce papers with a champagne toast. He shouldn't have those connections anymore, I said, memories flashing of Richard's smug expression at my birthday ambush. His security clearance expired 3 years ago. Sarah slid a document across the table. He maintains relationships with several active personnel. We flagged their access pending investigation. What's he looking for? Your new security protocols for the Chesapeake Naval Station. The ones protecting the nuclear submarine maintenance facility. My blood chilled. Those protocols weren't merely classified. They were essential safeguards for weapon systems capable of unprecedented destruction. How far did he get? Not far enough. Sarah's lips thinned. But he's persistent. This marks his 3rd attempt. On my secure phone, a text message appeared from an unknown number. I recognized Emma's pattern. Our private code. Asterisk Grandpa asking questions about your new job. Owen helping him. Mom encouraging both. Be careful. Asterisk. I deleted the message, my mind calculating possibilities and countermeasures. Richard wouldn't act alone. He lacks technical expertise. Your former stepson studies computer science, Sarah observed. Georgetown, correct? The betrayal stung deeper than expected. Owen, whom I'd supported through college applications, whose first car came from my bonus check, whose wedding I'd agreed to fund despite suspecting Jessica's infidelity. Increased monitoring on both their activities. I instructed, Richard won't stop until he finds something valuable enough to sell. After Sarah departed, I stood at the window watching government employees stream between buildings like ants. Among them, intelligence officers tracked Richard's communications, documented his meetings, built a case strong enough for prosecution. My revenge hadn't created the situation, merely accelerated its discovery. My private phone vibrated with another message. Linda, Jessica's sister, the family member who'd always maintained polite distance. Asterisk Owen's wedding Saturday. Jessica telling everyone you abandoned family responsibilities. Richard bragging about ruining your career soon. Asterisk. The message continued. Asterisk. He doesn't know I overheard him on the phone offering valuable security information to someone. This isn't right, Daniel. Asterisk. I saved Linda's number before composing a careful response. Asterisk. Thank you. Stay away from those conversations. Asterisk. Evening descended over the Capitol as I drove to my new apartment. Smaller than the suburban mansion Jessica showcased on Instagram, but mine alone. No cameras documenting my movements. No performances for strangers' approval. The building security system recognized my vehicle, garage door opening automatically. Inside my dedicated parking space waited a silver Mercedes, identical to the one Jessica claimed in the divorce before discovering it belonged to Foster Defense Consulting. My apartment door required both key card and fingerprint authentication. Inside, screens displayed security feeds from various locations, some monitoring my former residence, others tracking Richard's movements through traffic cameras accessible through my government connections. On my laptop, Jessica's latest Instagram post appeared. Missing my family tonight. Staying strong through abandonment. Hashtag blessed hashtag single mother. The comments section overflowed with sympathy from strangers who knew nothing about the classified documents her father had attempted to sell, the tax evasion she'd unknowingly participated in, or the federal investigation gathering momentum against them both. I closed the laptop, poured a whiskey, and waited for Richard's next move. Military strategy always emphasized patience. The enemy eventually exposes their position. The Virginia Tech auditorium buzzed with excitement. Hundreds of graduating seniors in caps and gowns, proud families clutching flower bouquets and program booklets. I sat alone in the back row, following Emma's instructions to remain inconspicuous until after the ceremony. 3 years had passed since my 50th birthday ambush. 3 years since Jessica's Instagram empire crumbled under bankruptcy proceedings and public scandal. 3 years watching from a careful distance as my carefully constructed revenge played out across legal filings and federal investigations. My phone vibrated. A message from Tom Brennan. Asterisk Richard suffered mild heart attack last night. Federal indictment coming tomorrow, regardless. Classified documents found during emergency medical response. Asterisk. The pieces aligned perfectly. Richard's desperation to sell military secrets had grown as his financial situation deteriorated. What began as casual information trading with defense contractors had escalated to dangerous territory, approaching foreign entities for higher payouts. Daniel Foster. Owen's voice cut through my thoughts. My former stepson stood beside my row, 3 years older but somehow diminished. The confident smirk had vanished, replaced by wary exhaustion. The IRS sent another notice, he said without greeting. $11,000 plus penalties. I can't pay it on warehouse salary. His wedding had collapsed months after the ceremony. Financial stress and public humiliation proving stronger than newlywed affection. Now he lived in Jessica's rented apartment, his computer science degree abandoned when universities discovered his involvement in Richard's schemes. Your grandfather used you, I said quietly. He needed your technical skills to access secure systems. Owen's shoulders slumped. He promised connections, career opportunities. Said you were hoarding resources the family deserved. His voice cracked. Mom encouraged me. Said loyal sons protect their mothers. The ceremony began before I could respond. Hundreds of names called alphabetically. Proud students crossing the stage into adulthood. When Emma Calloway echoed through speakers, I stood instinctively, watching my stepdaughter accept her engineering diploma with honors. Her smile found me across the crowded auditorium, a private acknowledgement between survivors. Later, outside amid celebration chaos, Emma navigated through crowds toward me, her graduation gown billowing in spring breeze. "My friends are over there," she said, pointing toward a group of young women. "I want them to meet my real dad." The word dad lodged in my chest, unexpected, powerful. Emma had chosen truth over blood, integrity over family loyalty. While Jessica performed victimhood for dwindling social media followers and Richard faced federal prosecution, Emma had quietly built her future. "Your mother?" I asked. "Couldn't afford the trip." Emma replied without emotion. "The bankruptcy filing went through last month. Chapter 7, Total Liquidation." Jessica's carefully curated world had imploded when her followers discovered the reality behind her inspirational posts. Sponsorship deals vanished overnight. The brave single mother narrative collapsed under court documents revealing her participation in Richard's schemes. "I received acceptance to Meridian's engineering internship program," Emma said, eyes bright with achievement. "Different division than yours, of course. No nepotism." Pride swelled inside me, not for revenge completed, but for this extraordinary young woman who'd navigated family destruction with integrity intact. My phone chimed again, a message from Rebecca, the project manager I'd been seeing for 6 months. A woman who understood classified work boundaries and appreciated competence over performance. Asterisk, the minister's recognition ceremony starts at 7. Don't be late. Wearing the blue dress you like. Asterisk. 1 year after my 50th birthday, I'd received commendation from the Defense Secretary for Infrastructure Protection Systems. The ultimate professional vindication. Ready to meet my friends? Emma asked, linking her arm through mine. As we walked toward her waiting group, I glimpsed a future stretching beyond revenge. Meaningful work, earned recognition, authentic relationships. The best security systems weren't built on walls and passwords, but on truth and consequences.